Memories of an Old Merchant. Long ago there was a merchant named William. He lived in a small village and sold many things. He had a tiny shop with colourful items. People came to him for clothes, spices and tools. Everyone in the village knew him. William loved his work. He enjoyed meeting new people and listening to their stories. Every customer had a story and he remembered them all. His shop was small, but his dreams were big. One day, a traveller came to his shop. The man had a strange hat and spoke softly. He wanted to buy a rare spice. William didn't have it, but he wanted to help. He told the man, "Come back tomorrow. I will find it for you." That night William didn't sleep. He searched through his things. He wrote letters to other merchants. He wanted to find the spice for the traveller. Helping others made him happy, even if it was hard. The next day the traveller came back. William handed him the spice. The man smiled and said, "Thank you. You are not just a merchant. You are kind." These words stayed in William's heart. Years passed and William's shop grew busier. People from other villages started visiting him. They knew he was honest and kind. He always tried to give fair prices. But his life was not always easy. One year, a terrible storm came. The rain was heavy and the wind was strong. It broke the roof of William's shop. Many of his items were damaged. He sat in the corner of his shop and felt sad. The villagers saw his trouble. They came to help him. Some brought wood to fix the roof. Others gave him money to buy new items. William felt their kindness. He realized he was not alone. Soon the shop was ready again. William thanked everyone. He said, "I will never forget your help." The villagers smiled. They knew William would do the same for them. From that day, William's shop became a special place. It was more than a store, it was a place of friendship. Everyone loved visiting William, not just for his goods, but also for his warm heart. As time went on, William became famous in the nearby towns. Travellers often spoke about him. They said, "If you want to buy something good, go to William's shop." His name spread far and wide. One day, a rich man came to the village. He had heard about William and wanted to see his shop. The man looked around and said, "You have good items, but they are too cheap. Why don't you raise your prices?" William smiled and replied, "I want everyone to afford what they need. Money is not the only thing that matters." The rich man laughed and said, "You are strange, but I respect your choice." The rich man bought many items and left. Before he went, he said, "You are not just a merchant, you are a wise man." William nodded and said, "Thank you. I only try to do what is right."
The villagers were proud of William.
They felt lucky to have him in their village. William's words and actions taught them many lessons about life and kindness. Years passed and William grew older. His hair turned white and his hands became weak, but his heart was still full of kindness. He continued to run his shop, though he could not work as fast as before. One evening, a young boy came into the shop. He looked poor and nervous. William asked gently, "What do you need, my boy?" The boy hesitated and said, "I have no money, but my mother is sick. I need medicine." Without a second thought, William gave him the medicine and said, "Take this to your mother. You don't need to pay me." The boy's eyes filled with tears. He said, "Thank you, sir. I will never forget your kindness." That night, William sat by his window, looking at the stars. He thought about his life and the people he had helped. He smiled and said to himself, "This is what true wealth feels like."
The next morning, the villagers noticed that William was moving slower than usual.
They worried about him, but he always assured them, "I am fine, just a little tired." One cold winter morning, William closed his shop earlier than usual. He sat in his chair and looked around the room filled with items he had sold for years. Each item reminded him of a story, a person, or a moment of kindness. As he sat there, an old friend entered the shop. It was Thomas, a man William had helped years ago. Thomas was now a successful businessman. He said, "William, I came to see you. You changed my life when I was struggling. I will never forget what you did for me." William smiled warmly. "I only did what was right. It is good to see you doing well, Thomas." The two men talked for hours, sharing memories and laughter. When Thomas left, William felt a deep sense of peace. He thought, "The love and gratitude of others are the greatest treasures of all." He closed his eyes and whispered, "I have lived a good life." The snow fell softly outside, covering the village in white. The shop, with its warm light, stood as a symbol of William's generosity and kindness. Years later, William's shop became a memory for the village. People often talked about the kind old merchant who always cared for others. They said his shop was not just a place to buy things, but a place where hearts were healed and stories were shared. A young boy named Jacob, inspired by William, opened his own small shop in the same spot. He said, "I want to continue William's legacy. He taught us that kindness and honesty are the true riches of life." The village flourished with this new spirit of generosity. Everyone remembered William's lessons. Even those who had moved away would return and tell their children about the merchant who taught them kindness. William's memory lived on, not in the objects he sold, but in the love he spread. His name was spoken with respect, and his life became a story that parents told their children. And so William, the old merchant, continued to inspire even after he was gone. His story showed that one person's kindness could touch the lives of many, leaving a legacy that time could never erase.